In the quiet, golden evenings of Doha, when the sun slowly dipped behind the Persian Gulf, the grand two-story mansion of Dr. Layla Mahmoud Alikri stood like a calm island of silence. Inside lived Dr. Ela, a 47-year-old woman known across the city, not only for her role as head of nursing at a prestigious private hospital, but also for her kindness, discipline, and composed authority. She was the kind of woman whose presence naturally made others straighten their posture. Yet behind that strength existed a deep loneliness. Her parents had passed away years earlier, and the large family home remained as an empty reminder that her life had always been centered on responsibility rather than companionship. She had never married, never pursued a relationship, not because she lacked the ability to love, but because she had never allowed life to slow down long enough for it. Her routine shifted unexpectedly when her elderly gardener, who had worked for her for 10 years, returned to his homeland. With her schedule filled with emergency shifts and medical conferences, it became impossible for her to maintain the yard herself. Through a local manpower agency, she hired a new gardener, a 31-year-old Indian man named Hari Prasad Singh from a small town near Bahraich in Uttar Pradesh. On his first day, Ela barely had time to meet him. From her bedroom window, she noticed him pushing the lawnmower quietly, his head lowered, his posture respectful. He worked without unnecessary noise, without delay, and without the slightest sign of entitlement. When she stepped onto the balcony later that afternoon, he greeted her with a small nod before continuing his work. His humility drew her attention in a way she had not expected. 5 days later, they finally met face to face. It was Ela's day off, and she stepped into the garden wearing a light satin robe, holding a glass of warm tea. Hari was watering the plants when he noticed her presence. Startled, he immediately lowered his gaze and set the hose aside. "Good morning, madam. I hope I didn't disturb you," he said carefully in simple English. Ela smiled, a rare softness appearing on her face. "Not at all. Are you from India?" Hari's eyes brightened with relief. "Yes, madam. I came from." The days that followed moved gently, as if time itself had slowed to observe the quiet changes taking place in the large house. Ela found herself stepping onto the balcony more often, pretending to check the weather or read a book, when in reality she was drawn to the calm presence of Hari. He worked with sincerity that was rare, never rushing, never complaining, never leaving even the smallest detail unfinished. His work ethic reminded her of the values her father once emphasized: humility, dedication, and respect for labor. One morning, Ela returned home early from work after feeling unusually exhausted. Her body was warm with fever, her head heavy. She barely managed to reach the living room before collapsing onto the sofa. At that moment, Hari, who had just entered through the gate with his tools, froze in concern. He hurried to her side, unsure how to respond. He was not a doctor, and he was not even permitted to enter the private areas of the house without permission. Yet something stronger than rules pushed him forward. "Madam, are you all right?" he asked anxiously. Ela barely opened her eyes. "Just a fever. I need to rest." Without hesitation, Hari gently supported her shoulders and guided her to her bedroom. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from respect. He closed the curtains, placed a light blanket over her, and quickly brought a small towel soaked in cool water. With slow, careful movements, he placed it on her forehead. She watched him through half-opened eyes, surprised by the care from someone she barely knew. "Madam, please rest. I will stay nearby in case you need anything." For the first time in many years, Ela felt cared for, not as a doctor, not as a woman of status, but simply as a person. The next morning, when she woke, she found a small steel bowl on her bedside table. Inside was simple Indian porridge made of rice, spices, and ginger. A note beside it read, "I am sorry if this is not good. I made it like my mother used to make when we were sick." Ela smiled softly. Something inside her chest tightened, a mix of warmth and emotion she could not fully explain. Later that afternoon, when she stepped into the garden, Hari greeted her politely. "Madam, I hope you are feeling better." "I am," she replied gently. "Thank you for everything yesterday." Hari quickly lowered his gaze. "I only did what anyone should do, madam." "No," she corrected him softly. "You did more." That moment lingered between them like a delicate thread, subtle yet clearly real. From that day forward, the distance between them began to narrow. It wasn't through long conversations or bold gestures, but through small, genuine actions. Ela would bring tea to the garden and spend a few minutes with him. Hari, still reserved and careful, gradually became comfortable enough to smile in her presence. For the first time in many years, Ela felt her heart respond to someone again. It marked the quiet beginning of a connection neither had expected. As the weeks passed, a gentle rhythm formed between Ela and Hari, an unplanned, subtle pattern shaped by small gestures and unspoken emotions. Nothing dramatic occurred on the surface. No confessions, no bold actions, no boundaries crossed. Yet each day, in the quiet spaces of the house and garden, something warm continued to grow. Ela found herself waking earlier than usual, sometimes just to hear Hari softly humming old Indian folk melodies as he watered the plants. His voice was not extraordinary, yet it carried a sincerity that made the garden feel alive. On some mornings, she would bring 2 cups of tea to the back garden. At first, Hari hesitated, unsure if it was appropriate, but Ela would gently insist, "Sit, Hari, just for a few minutes. The weather is pleasant today." He would sit carefully at the edge of the bench, as if even the wooden seat might question his closeness. Ela found this quietly endearing. Each interaction revealed a gentleness in him, something she had rarely seen among the confident, polished professionals she worked with at the hospital. One afternoon, as they sat in the shade of the mango tree, Ela asked softly, "Do you have family back home?" Hari nodded. "Yes, madam. My mother and younger sister? My father passed away when I was in high school. We struggled after that. Life was not easy." "And you never married?" Hari's ears reddened slightly as he shook his head. "Not yet. I didn't think I had enough to offer anyone." Ela looked at him with a thoughtful expression. Sometimes what we offer has nothing to do with money. He lowered his head again, unable to meet her eyes. The days continued in this manner, simple, quiet, yet meaningful. However, alongside this warmth, a sense of tension also began to form. Ela noticed it whenever their eyes met for a moment longer than usual, whenever Hari hesitated before speaking, or whenever she found herself thinking about him late at night. She, a composed woman nearing 50, felt her heart respond with the intensity of someone much younger. It felt both unexpected and deeply human. One night, unable to sleep, Ela stepped onto the balcony. The garden below was covered in moonlight. Hari was preparing to leave, locking the side gate. When he looked up and saw her, he paused. "Madam, are you okay?" he asked quietly. Ela hesitated, then spoke with a calmness she did not fully feel. "Hari, if someday I say something that might surprise you, would you be upset?" He paused, holding the gate for a moment before replying, "Madam, I would not be upset." "Then what frightens you?" she asked gently. Hari swallowed hard. "Not me, madam. The world. The world gets angry at people like me." Those words stayed with her throughout the night, echoing quietly in her thoughts. For the first time, Ela understood the real barrier between them. It was not age, it was not status, it was the world and the quiet, harsh judgments it carried. The following days moved with a different weight, as if the air itself had grown heavier with unspoken emotions. Ela felt it each time she stepped into the garden. Hari felt it whenever he saw her approaching with calm, measured steps. Their interactions remained polite, careful, and respectful. But now there was a new silence between them, a silence that was not empty, but full. Hari continued to work diligently, but he kept a deliberate distance. He no longer stayed after completing his tasks. He avoided sitting for long on the garden bench, and if Ela brought tea, he accepted it with gratitude, but set the cup aside after only a few sips. His politeness had shifted into restraint, and Ela sensed it clearly. One evening, Ela found him checking the irrigation pipes near the back kitchen. She approached slowly, her footsteps soft against the stone floor. "Hari?" she called gently. He straightened immediately, wiping his hands on his trousers, eyes lowered. "Yes, madam." "You've changed," she said. Her tone was not accusatory, only quietly concerned. "You don't sit anymore? You don't speak freely? Why?" Hari hesitated, the answer held behind his lowered gaze. "I am only trying to protect your respect, madam." "My respect?" Ela asked, slightly puzzled. "From whom?" "From people," he said at last. "From the world. From those who will never understand this friendship." Ela took a slow breath. She had always known society could be judgmental, but she had never felt its weight so personally. "Hari." she said softly. "Do you think I care what people say?" He looked up just enough for her to see the concern in his eyes. "I don't want anyone to blame you, madam. I am a simple man. You are someone the world respects. People will not speak against me. They will speak against you." It was the first time he had spoken so openly. The honesty in his words affected her deeply. "Why must the world always blame the woman?" Ela said quietly, almost to herself. "Why is she always the one questioned, judged, doubted?" Hari had no answer. He stood silently, his hands clasped behind his back. A few days later, Ela received a call from her family in Riyadh. They wanted her to attend a large family gathering, one filled with distant relatives, old acquaintances, and the usual circle of people who measured a woman's worth by her marital status. Ela already knew what the conversations would focus on. Her mother had been encouraging her for years to remarry, while her siblings believed she was wasting her life by remaining alone. She did not want to go. The pressure of those expectations always felt overwhelming. But refusing would only raise more questions. Before leaving, she went to the garden and quietly placed a handwritten note on the small tool shelf where she knew Hari kept his gloves. "I will be gone for 3 days. Do not change. Take care of the house. Take care of your heart, too." Hari read the note that evening, and for the first time in years, a man who had endured hardship without complaint felt something shift quietly within him. Something soft, something deeply personal. The house felt unusually empty during Ela's absence. Too still, too quiet, almost unfamiliar. Hari continued his work with the same discipline, but the days seemed longer. Each morning, he watered the garden more slowly, pausing at moments he never used to notice. Each evening, he left the mansion later than usual, as if the silent rooms held him there for reasons he could not explain. The note she had left, carefully folded and kept in his wallet, was the one thing that grounded him. "Take care of your heart, too." Those words remained with him like a steady source of warmth. 3 days later, Ela returned. Her car stopped at the gate, and she stepped out with the composure of someone used to hiding exhaustion behind dignity. Hari moved quickly toward the entrance to help with her suitcase. She gave him a brief, tired smile, one that affected him more than he expected. That evening, she asked him to come into the dining room. Her posture was steady, but her eyes reflected inner tension. "Hari," she began slowly, "my family wants me to consider an arranged marriage again." Hari froze, the words striking him unexpectedly. He lowered his gaze, unable to hide the heaviness settling in his chest. "They believe," Ela continued, "that I need a partner closer to my age, with a similar social standing, someone who meets their expectations." Hari remained silent, staring at the polished wooden floor, his hands slightly tense behind his back. Ela's voice softened. "I did not say yes. I did not say no. Instead, I came back with a question." Hari looked up, uncertain and hesitant. "If I choose a different path," she said quietly, "one that does not follow what the world expects, will you stand with me?" Hari inhaled sharply. For a moment, he could not respond. His voice felt restrained by emotions he had kept contained for weeks. "Madam, I never wanted you to choose me," he said softly. "I only wanted to remain within my limits." "I don't need limits," Ela replied, her tone steady. "I need honesty." Hari closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them again, there was clear sincerity in his expression. "If you truly decide to walk away from all of that, I will not step back. I will stand with you. I cannot promise the world will change, but I can promise I will not leave your side." It was the most honest commitment he had ever made. From that night onward, their relationship shifted. They no longer relied on hints or careful distance. Instead, they allowed open conversations about possibilities, uncertainties, and hopes that once felt too fragile to express. They spoke about the idea of marrying quietly, away from Qatar's scrutiny. They discussed living simply in India, perhaps in Hari's hometown, or maybe in a place unfamiliar to both, such as Malaysia or Turkey. Nothing was certain. Everything carried difficulty. Yet for the first time, both of them saw a shared direction ahead, even if that path was narrow and filled with obstacles. The days that followed carried a quiet urgency neither had felt before. Each morning felt heavier. Each evening passed more quickly. Since Ela expressed her willingness to leave everything behind, time no longer moved gently. It felt measured, almost like a countdown they could not ignore. Then came the news that changed everything. Hari's work visa would expire in 2 months. Ela had always known that the residency system in Qatar was complex, but when she began to look into the details, the reality became clear. Hari's position as a domestic worker made his status extremely difficult to change. No matter how sincere their intentions were, no matter her professional standing or financial stability, regulations remained firm. That evening, they met in the garden. The air felt heavy with humidity and concern. Ela's expression was tense, her eyes reflecting quiet worry. "Hari," she said softly, "we don't have much time." He nodded, his expression calm but touched with sadness. "I know, madam." "I've spoken to legal advisors," she continued. "Every option seems blocked. They said it is nearly impossible." Hari remained silent. A man who had faced poverty, loss, and family responsibilities understood how to accept difficult truths. But this situation felt different, because it was no longer only about him. Ela stepped closer. For the first time, she reached out and gently held his hand. The simple gesture caught him off guard. "Hari," she said quietly, "I'm not afraid of the system. I'm only afraid of losing you." Hari swallowed, his voice unsteady when he finally spoke. "Madam, I am not afraid of time. I am only afraid of losing you." The honesty of that moment changed something between them. For years, Ela had lived behind a wall of professionalism and control. Yet now she stood holding the hand of a man society said she should not love. And Hari stood there, not fearing judgment, but fearing that he might bring difficulty into her life. As the days passed, the urgency increased. Ela spent long nights calling legal offices, seeking advice from contacts, and researching immigration laws of nearby countries. Her laptop became filled with open tabs and limited options. Meanwhile, Hari quietly prepared himself. He did not complain or show panic. Instead, he began saving more money, cutting unnecessary expenses, and contacting friends back home to understand what awaited him if he returned suddenly. One night, after hours of searching, Ela closed her laptop and called Hari into the living room. The soft light from the corner lamp reflected her tired expression. "I've made a decision," she said. Hari stood still, preparing himself for what he expected to hear. "I will come with you," she said clearly. Hari's breath paused. "Madam, what?" "I'm leaving Qatar," she repeated. "I'm done living under rules that restrict what is human. I want to live where we can breathe freely, even if life is simple. I choose that. I choose you." For a moment, Hari could not respond. His eyes reflected disbelief shaped by years of thinking he was not meant for anything beyond an ordinary life. That night, something became certain between them, a decision that would reshape both their lives. 2 months later, the heavy doors of Doha International Airport opened, and Ela stepped into the warm air of Surabaya beside Hari. Although she had traveled widely for medical conferences, this journey felt different. It was not about work, duty, or recognition. It was a personal decision, a step into a life she had never imagined. For Hari, it was a moment he had hoped for, but never truly believed would happen, that someone like her would choose a life like his. From Surabaya, they traveled by car to Malang, the city near where Hari had grown up. The 4-hour journey passed through green hills, rice fields, and small towns full of everyday activity. Everything felt unfamiliar to Ela. Children running barefoot, vendors selling snacks from carts, motorcycles moving through traffic, and houses standing close together like longtime companions. Yet nothing felt uncomfortable. Hari remained beside her throughout the journey, occasionally looking at her with quiet concern, as if making sure she had no regrets. When they reached Hari's family home in a quiet hillside village, Ela stepped out and paused. The house was modest, a wooden structure with a tin roof, cement flooring, and a small veranda supported by uneven pillars. Around it were wild plants, banana trees, and bright marigold bushes. "This is my home," Hari said softly, almost apologetically. "It's small, but it's beautiful," Ela replied. Her sincerity surprised him. He had expected hesitation or discomfort, but instead she smiled calmly, as if she had found something meaningful. Life in the village was very different from the structured comfort of Doha. Mornings began with roosters crowing. Women cleaned their verandas with long brooms. Men carried produce to the market. Ela adjusted to a new routine, cooking rice on a simple stove, washing clothes by hand, and learning to sweep the yard with a bamboo broom. At first, she struggled. She dropped utensils, spilled water, and laughed at her own mistakes. Hari remained patient, guiding her whenever needed. Neighbors watched with curiosity. Children whispered, "Is she really from Qatar?" Some villagers quietly questioned her decision. Others admired her courage, while many simply welcomed her warmly, offering fruits or homemade food. Gradually, the village began to feel like home. For Hari, each day felt almost unreal. Ila no longer called him Madam. She called him Hari, and sometimes Hari Ji, in a playful tone. They cooked together, cleaned together, and walked through the market side by side. In Qatar, he had been her employee. Here, he was her equal. Weeks later, they decided to marry. The ceremony was simple. Under a blue tent near Hari's home, with village officials, neighbors, and a few friends present, they made their commitment. Ila wore a light cotton sari with soft blue tones. Hari wore a clean white kurta. There was no music or decoration, no display of wealth, but their expressions reflected a quiet happiness that no luxury could replace. They had left behind a world of expectations and stepped into a life they would build together, step by step. After the wedding, their life settled into a steady rhythm. The village gradually accepted the presence of the graceful outsider who managed her own home, visited the local market, and greeted people with humility. What stood out was not her past, but how naturally she adapted to simplicity. With the savings she had brought, Ila opened a small health clinic near the village entrance. It was modest: 2 rooms, a metal examination table, a shelf of medicines, and a desk for records. Yet it quickly became valuable to the community. Pregnant women came for guidance. Children with fevers were brought for treatment. Elderly villagers finally received basic health checkups. Ila worked with dedication. Each evening, when she returned home, Hari would be waiting with tea. "How was the clinic today?" he would ask. She would share stories about the patients she treated, the children she comforted, and the families she supported. Listening to her, Hari often felt a quiet sense of pride. She had left behind comfort, status, and wealth, yet she appeared stronger than ever. Hari also returned to farming, caring for his small land where he grew tomatoes, green chilies, cabbage, and spinach. Each morning, he cycled to the market with fresh produce. The villagers respected him, not because of his wife's background, but because of his humility. He did not change his behavior or seek attention. The only difference was the calm happiness visible in him. In the evenings, after dinner, they often sat together on the veranda. Above them stretched a sky full of stars, something Ila had never truly noticed in the bright lights of Doha. "I didn't know peace could feel like this," she once said quietly. Hari smiled. Peace comes where the heart feels free. Sometimes they walked along the edge of the rice fields. The scent of wet soil after rain, the sound of insects, and the distant calls of farmers returning home became meaningful details in Ila's life. Simplicity taught her something luxury never had: contentment. Of course, not everyone accepted their life easily. Some villagers spoke quietly about their unusual marriage. Others doubted how long she would remain in village conditions. But Ila had faced stronger judgment before. Compared to that, these opinions felt insignificant. Despite everything, their bond grew stronger with time. They learned each other's habits, laughed at small mistakes, and shared their thoughts openly. Ila helped Hari improve his English, while Hari taught her daily skills: how to fold a sari properly and how to cook simple meals without error. Their life was not perfect, but it was genuine, built step by step with understanding, effort, and trust. On understanding, sacrifice, and a love neither of them had expected at this stage of life. And although they lived far from the grand surroundings of Doha, in that small village house, they finally discovered what home truly meant. A year passed gently, like pages turning in a book they did not want to finish. Ila and Hari built a life shaped by small moments: warm tea at sunset, quiet laughter on the veranda, the steady rhythm of rain on the tin roof, and the comfort of knowing that even in silence, they were not alone. Yet time had one more unexpected blessing waiting for them. One morning, while treating a young mother at the clinic, Ila suddenly felt lightheaded. Her hands trembled slightly, and she steadied herself against the wall. Concerned, the patient insisted she rest, and Ila reluctantly sat down. Throughout the afternoon, she felt an unusual sensation, a warmth she could not explain. Hari noticed it as soon as she walked through the door that evening. "You look tired," he said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "I'm just a little dizzy today," she replied with a faint smile. But Hari remained concerned. He encouraged her to visit the nearest district hospital for a checkup. After some hesitation, Ela agreed. The doctor conducted several tests, asked multiple questions, and then looked up with a calm expression. "Congratulations," the doctor said. "You are pregnant." For a moment, everything seemed still around her. Pregnant at 48, it felt unlikely, remarkable, overwhelming, and deeply meaningful at the same time. Ela's eyes filled with tears, a mix of disbelief and gratitude. Hari, who had been waiting outside, quickly came to her side when he saw her expression. "Ela ji, what happened? Are you okay?" She held his hand, her voice unsteady. "Hari, we are gonna have a baby." For a few seconds, Hari could not respond. His eyes widened in shock, then slowly filled with tears he did not try to hide. He bent slightly, pressing her hands to his forehead. This is a blessing," he said quietly. The pregnancy was not easy. The doctor warned them about risks due to Ela's age. She required rest, regular monitoring, and a careful routine. But Ela was not afraid. She had faced greater challenges: loneliness, judgment, and social pressure. Compared to those, this felt like a gift. Hari became even more attentive. He prepared her meals, helped her rest, brought warm water, and accompanied her to every checkup. The clinic staff and villagers showed even greater care. Some brought homemade food, while others helped maintain the clinic so she would not strain herself. Months passed, their home filled with preparations: small baby clothes, soft blankets, herbal oils, and a quiet excitement that made each day feel special. Ela often rested her hand on her stomach, speaking softly to the life growing within her. At night, she would watch Hari reading under a dim light and reflect on the path that had brought them together. A journey from two very different worlds, connected not by status or comfort, but by sincerity and courage. Eventually, the day arrived when their daughter was born, a small child with bright eyes and a soft cry. They named her Naira, meaning light. And she truly became the light of their lives. Naira's arrival transformed their home into a place filled with new purpose. From the moment she opened her eyes, everything changed. Her gentle cries echoed through the wooden walls. Her tiny hands held Ela's fingers, and her quiet breathing brought calm to their nights. For Ela, becoming a mother at 48 felt like a rare and meaningful blessing. For Hari, fatherhood was something he had never imagined for himself. Together, they saw Naira as a symbol of their courage, the result of choices made against expectation. The villagers who had once observed them with uncertainty now visited with warmth, bringing small gifts: bangles, blankets, and baskets of fruit. Children looked in curiously, asking to see the baby. Older women guided Ela through traditional care practices for the newborn. Though a few doubts still remained among some, the kindness of many outweighed the hesitation of others. Ela paused her clinic work for some time, focusing fully on caring for her child. Hari took on additional responsibilities, waking early to tend the fields and returning home to help with childcare. Every moment was shared, every smile, every cry, every sleepless night. One evening, when Naira was about 6 months old, Ela sat on the veranda with her daughter resting peacefully against her. Hari returned home carrying vegetables, his clothes marked by the day's work, but his face reflecting quiet happiness. "You look tired," he said gently, placing the bag aside. Ela shook her head with a soft smile. "I have never felt more alive." Hari sat beside her, watching the sunset color the sky. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "I still find it hard to believe this is real, that you left everything for a life like this." Ela looked at him with calm certainty. "Hari, I did not leave a life. I found one." Her words stayed with him. She reached for his hand and held it gently. "Doha had everything: comfort, reputation, ease, but I had no one to share silence with. Here, even the simplest moments feel complete." Hari lowered his gaze, humbled. "You gave me dignity. You gave me courage. And now you have given me a family." They remained there for a long time, listening to the quiet sounds of the village, the rustling leaves, distant voices, and the soft hum of evening life. Naira moved slightly in Ela's arms, and she kissed her forehead. Years passed quietly. The clinic grew, and people from nearby areas came to be treated by the kind and dedicated doctor. Hari expanded his farming, supplying fresh produce to the market. Their home became a place of warmth, filled with laughter and the scent of simple meals. Each night, before resting, Hila would watch Hari place Naira in her cradle with care, a quiet reminder of how far they had come. She would smile, knowing she had healed something within herself that no profession ever could, her loneliness. Hila had spent years caring for others, but through Hari, she finally found healing for her own heart. Their journey was not conventional, but it belonged to them. And in that small village, under the soft glow of evening lamps, they built a life more meaningful than anything they had known before. "Doha is new for me," she said gently. "If you feel thirsty while working, you may take water from the back kitchen. Do not hesitate." Her tone, unexpectedly warm, surprised him. "Thank you, madam," he replied sincerely. From that moment, small interactions slowly began to shape something unspoken between them. Hari never asked for anything. He arrived on time, worked quietly, and left only after completing every task. Sometimes he hummed old Indian folk songs while tending the plants, soft melodies that often drew Hila to the balcony just to listen. She did not fully understand why her heart responded this way. She was nearly 50, a woman who had experienced life and stood firmly on her own. Yet somehow, the simplicity of this young man awakened a warmth within her that she had long believed was gone. And that was where their story truly began.